Alright, in this video we're going to look at two of your most basic selection tools, the rectangular marquee and the elliptical marquee. So both of them work kind of in similar fashions. The keyboard shortcuts, different things I'm going to show you are kind of going to work for both tools. So first let's start with the elliptical marquee. The keyboard shortcut just to get to the tool is the letter M. So if I'm on some other tool and I hit M, it's going to jump over to this tool. Now if I happen to have the rectangle one as the last tool that I used, whichever one's on top, that's the one that will be selected when I hit the letter M on my keyboard. So let me switch back over to the elliptical. First trick, as I start dragging here, now I'm holding down the mouse this whole time. I'll let you know when I let go of the mouse button. If I hold spacebar while I'm still holding down the mouse, I can move around my selection. I'm still holding down the mouse. When I let go of spacebar, I can now adjust the size of this. So again, I can use that to my advantage to just kind of stay just inside the lines. Whenever you're making a selection, you'd like to stay inside of the object that you're selecting by a few pixels, because if it's a light object like this and it's on a dark background, if I were to lose a few pixels, no one's going to notice. Let's say I'm taking this light planet and putting it on a white background. Well, again, no one's going to know if I lose a few of these blue pixels. However, if I leave any extra black, it's going to be very noticeable. It's going to look like this thing was cut out, because you're going to see a blue planet, a few black pixels, and then a white background. So it's going to look out of place. So again, it's okay to lose a few pixels when you select these things. If you notice at the top of these tools, all of these tools have different menus at the top. For the elliptical marquee, we can have it make a new selection every time I drag a circle. I can add to my selection, so let's switch into that mode. Let's say I was selecting a bunch of grapes, and I wanted to add more to the selection. I can make some Mickey Mouse ears here. So as I keep drawing circles now, I keep adding to what's selected. I can also subtract from my selection. So let's say I wanted to cut off one of these ears here and maybe part of his head. That now cuts off that part. So that's kind of how this works. In general, though, most times you're going to be making a new selection every time you use the elliptical. I'm going to get rid of that selection by hitting Command and D, or I can also go Select, Deselect. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one of these, and I'll show you a couple other keyboard buttons that are useful. So if I want to constrain something to be a perfect circle, if I hold Shift while I'm drawing it, that will ensure that it's a perfect circle as I go. Now I can still use Shift and spacebar at the same time if I need to move this thing. So that's kind of useful to be able to do if you want something to be a circle. Another thing that we can do, so again I'm going to get rid of this one, is if I start in the center of an object and I hold Option, it makes the selection grow out of the middle. So again, if I want, I can do Option and Shift to make it a circle. And if I needed to for some reason, I could even do spacebar to move the thing around. So again, the key is, once I'm all set here, I need to make sure that I let go of the mouse button before I let go of all those buttons like Shift and Option that I'm using to kind of change the shape and how this selection is being built. Alright, so there's my circular selection. This is nice anytime you're cutting out something that's round or an oval, because it's going to give us a really nice clean edge on this thing. So if I were to add a mask to this, just so you can get an idea what I'm talking about, there we go. That's like a nice perfect circle. And again, you'd never know that I lost just that little bit of the outside there. Going to the rectangular marquee now, let's look at a different picture here. Same deal. Rectangular marquee, let's switch over to it. Same options at the top. I can create a new selection every time I drag. I can add to, I can subtract from my selection. All those kind of things I pick at the top, so you can just kind of play with that menu at the top. Feather and some of these other options you don't really need right now. You'll see down the road kind of what those are for. And again, when I drag with this one, I just want to be a little bit inside of the object there. I make my selection, and then I can go ahead and apply the mask. Now it won't work because that's called background, so let me fix that. But there you go. So again, I made my selection. I have a mask. Now masks, we're going to talk about in another video. We're going to use those for more than just cutting things out. I'm just doing this real quickly just to show you kind of what my selection looks like. But again, selections are used for more than just cutting things out. Alright, so moving on to one more of these. Let's look at like a hotel sign. Now I can use the rectangle for this, but you're going to see an obvious problem here. This picture isn't a true rectangle because we have this wall where the left side is further away from me than the right side. I can change selection. So this goes for like an oval, this goes for a rectangle. The way that I can do that is if I go to select, I can transform that selection. So if I just needed to rotate something, I could do it here. But again, I can right click just like I would do on any other transformation and pick different ones. So maybe I need to skew this thing. And you can see I'm just making these minor adjustments here. And now my selection kind of fits that shape. And once I'm happy with this, one thing I do need to remember is after you're done transforming something, you always have to press enter before you do anything else. That finishes that transformation. So anyway, now I have this perfect selection here, and again, my lines are nice and straight. So if we were to apply mask to this, see how that works. So again, main thing with the elliptical and rectangular marquee, you have these options at the top. Mainly with these, you're going to use new selection. The keyboard, if you hold shift, makes it a perfect circle or square. Spacebar allows you to move it, and all of this is while you're still holding the mouse down, like I'm still making this shape. And then lastly, option makes it grow from the center of wherever you're starting. So again, you just hold those keys down as you're dragging your mouse. Alright, that's pretty much it for those two selections.